New York Times reports Booz Allen Hamilton has become, this is a quote, a verbatim quote, has become one of the largest and most profitable corporations in the United States, almost exclusively by serving a single client, the government of the United States. The firm's 98% of the firm's revenue of $5.8 billion last year came from the taxpayer. Now, this is one of over 1,100 companies that are draining our tax dollars in the name of national security, and we're not even talking about the military stuff here. This is just the secret state stuff. This is just the snooping on you stuff. And just think of this. Ellen Ratner was on just a minute ago saying the Senate just passed an agriculture bill, which is going to keep the $3 million subsidy to the Republican member of the House of Representatives who said people on food stamps are parasites, but is going to cut $4 billion out of the SNAP program, the Supplemental Nutrition Program, the what we call food stamps. So they want to cut $4 billion because we just don't have the money. Booz Allen Hamilton last year took $5.8 billion. Dwight Eisenhower warned us of the rise of the military-industrial complex. That speech is virtually a cliche. I'm not going to play that speech for you again. You've heard it 100 times in your life in all probability. But another speech that he gave while he was president, in fact, is the year in the title? I thought it was 58. I could be wrong. It might have been 56. But in any case, this was a speech that Dwight Eisenhower gave to the American Association of Newspaper Publishers or Editors, one or the other, and it's sometimes referred to as his Cross of Iron speech. And he says, "This world of ours at war is." Well, I'll let him say it, but I just, it's not the world's best audio, so just listen carefully, because he's saying the cost is not just money. It is the loss of schools, the loss of hospitals, the loss of food that could feed the hungry. And he quantifies it. One battleship is this many barrels of wheat. One destroyer is this many, well, I shouldn't be giving Ike's speech for him when he can give it himself so well. Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States back in the 1950s, Dwight D. Eisenhower, Republican.
A burden of arms, draining the wealth and labor of all people, a wasting of strength that defies the American system or the Soviet system or any system, to achieve true abundance and happiness for the peoples of this earth. Every gun that is made, every warship launched, every rocket fired signifies, in the final sense, a theft from those who hunger and are not fed,
a theft.
Those who are cold and are not clothed. This world in arms is not spending money alone. It is spending the sweat of its laborers, the genius of its scientists, the hopes of its children. The cost of one modern heavy bomber is this: a modern brick school in more than 30 cities. It is 2 electric power plants, each serving a town of 60,000 population. It is 2 fine, fully equipped hospitals. It is some 50 miles of concrete pavement. We pay for a single fighter plane with 500,000 bushels of wheat. We pay for a single destroyer with new homes that could have housed more than 8,000 people. This is, I repeat, the best way of life to be found on the road the world has been taking. This is not a way of life at all, in any true sense. Under the cloud of threatening war, it is humanity hanging from a cross of iron.
Humanity hanging from a cross of iron. The cost of a single destroyer, the cost of a single bomber, schools, food, hospitals. This was the last legitimate Republican president of the United States, legitimately elected Republican president of the United States, Dwight Eisenhower. And, in many ways a prophet. But he knew, Eisenhower knew of what he spoke. He was the guy who, along with Joe Stalin, and I'm no fan of Joe Stalin, but hey, the Russians really won World War II in Europe. But, without a little help, or a lot of help, actually, from Dwight Eisenhower and the Americans, I don't think either one of us would have been able to pull it off, bottom line. But this is the guy, he was the supreme Allied commander of all Allied forces in the European theater, Dwight Eisenhower. And then when he decided in 1952 to run for president, there was actually some debate, is he going to run as a Democrat or Republican? Because he had never professed a party loyalty. He had always been a professional military man. And he decided to run as a Republican. And he won, and he ran and he won, legitimately. And his campaign slogan was vote for Eisenhower, vote for peace. You got that? Here it is.
He has met Europe's leaders, has got them working with us. Elect the number one man for the number one job of our time. November 4th, vote for peace. Vote for Eisenhower. A paid film.
That was in 1952, running for his first term. And then the speech you just heard was from either 56 or 50, I'm pretty sure 58, long into that term, years and years into that term. And he was still saying the same thing. A world at war is a world that's insane. A world at war is a world that is refusing to feed the hungry, to clothe the naked, to house the homeless, to give warmth to those who are cold, was the exact phrase that, as I recall, that Eisenhower used in his Cross of Iron speech. Boy, we could use more statesmen like that. We'll be right back.